Their second test against West Indies tomorrow at the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain. And unlike the first test, Rohit Sharma did not reveal the playing combination a day before the match. So will there be any changes? We will discuss that on the show. This is also a special test match. Firstly, because this is the 100th test to be played between the two countries, with the first having been played way back in 1948. Secondly, this is Virat Kohli's 500th international match. So lots of good cricketing conversation coming your way. Jamie Alter joins us on the show, and Chetan Narula, he joins us on the show. And when these two are there, this cricketing conversation only gets better. So welcome to both of you. Hello, and hopefully we'll see a fight back, Jamie and Chetan. Ian Bishop has just said that maybe the pitch is going to be better. So I think all Indian fans will also be hoping for that, Jamie.
Yeah, good evening. You hope it's better because, like I said before, the kind of track that we saw for that first test at Rousseau just really didn't make sense, because we know West Indies batsmen have spin problems. They dropped Roston Chase, who over the last 12 months averaged 53 with the bat. So a couple of shocking selections, and then given their spin problems, given the fact that you basically handed the match to Ashwin and Jadeja, let's hope it's better. But again, it's the West Indies, right? I think the biggest indication, more than what the pitch will or will not do, is the fact that they've added a spin bowling all-rounder. So probably all signs are that they're gonna give a similar kind of track. And if the last match, if India had not batted on so much, that match could have been done, inside 2.5 days. So are we looking at another quick result? Absolutely, from where I'm looking at this match.
Okay, let's set up the match for you then. India will face off against the West Indies at the Queen's Park Oval. I've already said that, in Port of Spain, in what will be the 100th test between these two glorious nations. The relationship that started in 1948, dominated by the West Indies in the first half, is now evened out, with India not having lost a series for the last 21 years. Can West Indies fight back in this historic test? Can they give us a glimpse of the old, or will it be the visitors who will dominate them yet again? In the first test, the West Indies were bundled out for 150 and 130 by the genius of Ravichandran Ashwin, who ended with the figures of 12 for 131, and Ravindra Jadeja as well. He got 5 wickets. India had to bat once. Yashasvi Jaiswal, he scored a brilliant 171 on his debut. Rohit Sharma also got 100. It was a complete annihilation of the hosts. And I think one of the things that just hogged the limelight was Yashasvi Jaiswal's dream debut, a fairy tale debut for him. But will things be different for the hosts at Queen's Park Oval? Will India make any changes? Rohit Sharma has made it very clear that right now he's not going to give an answer. He's going to wait till the morning of the test match, and that's when they will decide the playing 11. So with rain around and conditions unknown, India's playing 11, what will that be like? Will India play 3 spinners or an extra fast bowler? Will India continue with Jaidev Unadkat? Will they try to get in Mukesh Kumar? Will they try to get in NAvdeep Saini? A lot of questions. But let's just first talk about this moment itself, guys, because 1948 is when it started. I mean, we all have heard and read about 1971, right? Ajit Agarkar's team, Sunil Gavaskar's debut, right? 4 test hundreds, a double 100 for him. Then 2006 is that's how much time India took from 71 to 2006 to win in the Windies. So this is a old relationship, but this is also it's given us some great cricketing moments. Chetan?
Hi Meha, yes, it has given us great moments over the years, even starting way back, like you said, from 1948 onwards. I think 2 of the greatest moments it gave us, obviously the first wasn't as great a moment because Nari Contractor was hit on his head and then he had to retire hurt. The implication of that was that Tiger Pataudi became India captain at such a young age, and he gave something really new to Indian cricket, almost a completely new direction, that winning habit that he just really taught them to compete, to win. And that was the starting of the spin quartet coming together, India's ploy shifting from trying to bowl pace to bowling all-out spin. And then, of course, the 1970s, when the great Sunil Gavaskar first came on the horizon and he pulverized the West Indies. When I say pulverize, I mean, just batting and batting and batting and batting on and on and on. And then, of course, India winning that series under Ajit Wadekar in 1971. Then in the late 70s, chasing 400 plus. It was an acrimonious series. After that chase, a lot of Indian batsmen were injured in the next test, thanks to some really deadly bowling. And then the 80s, winning the first ODI in West Indies just before the World Cup, then winning the World Cup against the mighty West Indies. And then the West Indies coming to India in 1985. And again, their fast bowlers really, taking all of that anger out on Indian batsmen. And over the years, we've seen the likes of Saurav Ganguly, Sachin Tendulkar go there. They've been hoping, them to win series. We can't forget 120 they were chasing, Barbados, 80 all out, 83 all out, something like that. I remember I went to sleep in the evening thinking, 120, it's feasible. We'll finally have a, victory in the West Indies. Then in the morning, getting ready for school, listening on radio, 80 all out. And I'm like, brushing my teeth, and I'm wondering what the hell must have happened to not be able to chase 120. So it's been a great story, India and West Indies. It's a pity. Yeah. It's a pity that the competition hasn't really, evolved now. It's going a little downhill, but over the years, it's been a fantastic story.
I just realized, did I just say Ajit Agarkar in the beginning instead of Ajit Wadekar? Jamie, I'm sure heard that. Sorry about that, but Jamie,
yes.
Jamie, favorite moments for you? I mean, we all have favorite moments with, India versus Australia, India versus England. So India, West Indies, one test match, Chetan was also talking about it, one test match that you really remember?
It's not my favorite test
for
match.
all the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons, what Chetan just mentioned, I mean, same situation, didn't watch all of it unfold because of the age and the school factor and many other factors. But to read about it first in the Hindu, and then I think the Times of India was the other paper we got in boarding school. And then the very next thing to see on news channels like Nayan Mongia, that lead, was it Ian Bishop or was it Franklin? I think it's Ian Bishop. I mean, these dismissals are somewhat imprinted on our minds, Again, not necessarily... I have three. That's one. I'll wrap it up. Second one, Anil Kumble bowling with that broken jaw. This is a series, 2002. Yeah. Yep. We actually got to watch it. I was actually in the US, so the time zone was perfect for us. To see him first get that knock on the jaw from Mervyn Dillon, I believe it was, and then to come out and bowl, we're like, "Ye pagal hai, what's he doing?" Because it was unthinkable. Like Chetan mentioned, we'd heard of Nari Contractor and all those brave heroes, but to see someone like Kumble, come out looking strange, first of all, because you don't see that kind of a getup, and then to get Lara LBW, that. But then 2006, Meha, Rahul Dravid captain, the 81 and 68, he got again covered that match, not at the ground, but doing ball by ball and a couple snippets around the match when in my second year of journalism. So that, of course, for the most recent memory, that sticks out. Big Rahul Dravid fan, had a lot of hopes from him when he was given the captaincy. And then to watch him in a very low-scoring match get 81 and 68. We talk about, Virat Kohli's 48 could have been worth 100. No, that 81 was worth probably a double 100, and that 68 was worth probably 150. I think Chetan will be in total agreement. So these three matches, for various emotions, stand out. Otherwise, like Chetan said, not too mumuch to pick from, honestly, from our generation.
That's the other thing. You look at head-to-head, and they still are ahead of India because of, the number of years that they've dominated, not just India, but world cricket, And that's why it is so disappointing. It's heartbreaking to see the kind of cricket that they're playing now. But hopefully we'll get a better match. That's what we want. So then this is the question for you guys. Ian Bishop, like I said, he said that, he's expecting a better pitch here. Will that make a difference? Are we seeing, are we going to see a fight back from the West Indies? And why I'm saying is that I feel like the pitch is not going to be very different, because why have they gone in with a spin bowling all-rounder in Kevin Sinclair? Obviously, they think that the pitch is going to be slow, Chetan. So I don't know. But
I mean, they
rain's
used 9
around.
bowlers in the last match, or 10 bowlers. They probably
Yeah.
want to use 10 outright bowlers again in this match as well. Look, like I said yesterday, I mean, unless and until it's a proper green top or a proper raging turner, there's not going to be a difference in the result of the game or the pace of the game. I think it's going to be similar tactics. They'll slow down the pace of the game. They'll use the softer, older ball as long as possible to not allow India to run away with the game. So I think it just comes down to what the pitch will be on day one and whether India will be batting first or bowling first. The only chance that I see, I don't think they could play 10 spinners, but I still don't think they have good enough spinners to trouble the Indian batting unless it's a raging turner. But even then, like I said, you need to know how to take wickets on a raging turner. Unless and until it's a proper raging green top, maybe West Indies will have a chance, maybe.
Yeah.
But any other result apart from an Indian victory would be a shocker.
Yeah. No, I agree. But let's also then talk about what Rohit Sharma will look to do, Jamie. Do you see changes in this lineup? Because, you can give opportunities. This is a good time to give opportunities to someone like Mukesh Kumar. You've got him in the team. Get him out there. Will they put in Axar Patel? Maybe, they know what Ashwin and Jadeja did in the last match. Get 3 spinners, trouble them even more. Do you see changes?
Changes, yes, I do see changes, and it's based on what Chetan just mentioned. The conditions. India will go tomorrow morning and have that final look and decide. Interestingly, look, Jaidev Unadkat, we've all shared our views on whether he should be there or not. He only bowled 9 overs, 2 in the second innings, but that's still 2 overs more than Shardul Thakur, who is India's specialist overseas all-rounder. So when Jaidev Unadkat is bowling 9 overs, when Shardul Thakur is bowling 7 overs, neither are required to bat. Do you need another seam option? Maybe there's a bit of grass cover. Maybe the conditions are slightly more in favor of fast bowling. But India's strength in these conditions is basically a home test match, right?
Yeah.
You do not need a third pace bowler. I don't think West Indies are going to come back that stronger, even if the conditions aid them, even if they choose to bat, choose to field. The toss, to my mind, is not so important. India have Axar Patel. Just pick him. Just finishes off in 3 days. Because look, like Chetan said, they may have 10 spinners. They don't know how to bowl on these tracks, but they don't know how to bat. I just go back to how poor. Yes, Ashwin is a colossal bowler. Jadeja knows exactly what to do. He bowls those darts. How many dismissals, Meya, in West Indies' first innings came inside the 30-yard circle, right?
Yeah.
We don't even need to discuss a 30-yard circle in a test match. It has no bearing on the match. But the top edges, the slices, the chips, chalo, there was one brilliant catch by Mohammad Siraj at mid-off. But where were the LBs? Where were the bowls? Where were the odd caught at long leg? These were a majority of dismissals inside, that invisible circle, which to my mind says, get rid of Unadkat, get rid of Jaidev Unadkat. Tell NAvdeep Saini, I know Chetan really wants to see him. Bhai, tomorrow time aayega. Mukesh, tomorrow time aayega. Just play Axar Patel and just demolish them. Like, wouldn't you want to get 2 days off? I think they did in the first match.
I think all of us do, especially because this match goes late into the night. So either we want a good competitive test match, or just finish it off. Let's talk about the batters. I specifically want to talk about Ishan Kishan, the batter, as well as Ishan Kishan, the wicketkeeper. But before I come to him, let's put this quote up. This is the quote of Indian captain Rohit Sharma. He's first talking about the conditions, and this is exactly what we've been discussing, where he says that in Dominica we had a clear idea when we saw the pitch and knew the conditions. Here we don't have clarity as there is talk of rain, but I don't think there will be drastic changes. But whatever conditions are available, based on that, we will make that decision about the playing 11. That's his first quote, and we've already discussed this with both Jamie and Chetan, that, either get an extra spinner and finish off the game. You realize how difficult it was for the West Indian batters to bat against Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja. But let's talk about the batters. I'm going to come to Ajinkya Rahane as well and the pressure on him. But first on Ishan Kishan. What did you think of first his batting and then his keeping? Then I'll put the quote of Rohit Sharma for everybody. Chetan?
I think the keeping was pretty normal, pretty standard, what you would expect from him. Like I said, during the test match as well, a lot was made out on social media that he's not that great a keeper. I didn't think he's that bad a wicket keeper. Of course, he's probably not at the level of somebody like a Wriddhiman Saha or a Rishabh Pant.
Yeah.
I would say he's not at the level of MS Dhoni as well, because, MS Dhoni might be unorthodox, but he is a fabulous wicketkeeper. I think I would put him on par with Shikhar Bharat. It's not like he's missed so many chances, or he was not picking the ball up properly behind the stumps, whether to the pacers or the spinners. I think he was pretty impressive. I think he deserves to get another game and probably, get a bit more backing going ahead, because we know that he can bat a bit better than KS Bharat. About his batting, I'm not so sure what to say, because it was kind of a farce, really, that played out. I mean, you can't send out a batsman and say that we won't declare unless you score a run, and then get angry when he's taking 20 balls to score a run. I mean, you told him that you won't declare, so he can play 20, 30, 40, 50 balls, however long. So it was basically a farce, really. I mean, you could have given him a particular number of overs. Rahul Dravid is, very good at giving a particular number of overs before declaring. So that's what they should have done, probably. So it was a farcical declaration for India.
Yeah, but he's very impressed. His captain's very impressed, and that is all that matters when it comes to Indian cricket. So Rohit Sharma spoke a lot about Ishan Kishan. There was one article that I was reading. There were 3-4 quotes. He's very impressed with his batting. This is what he had to say about Ishan Kishan, and we'll put that quote up as well. He says, Ishan Kishan is a very talented guy. We've seen in the short career that he's had for India. He recently made 200 runs in limited overs against Bangladesh last December. He has the game and the talent, so we need to give opportunities. He is a left-hander batter and likes to play a lot of aggressive cricket. I've had a clear conversation with him on how I want him to play and have given him complete freedom. He has the game, and if he wants a bit of freedom to express himself, then that is our job. We will do that for Ishan. He's also gone on to praise Ishan Kishan's wicket keeping, saying that he thought, given the conditions, given how the ball was turning to keep to Jadeja and Ashwin, he thought that he did a good job. Do you believe, though, that Ishan Kishan looks like your long-term wicketkeeper batter for tests?
Tough to say, because it's just one match which got over well inside 3 days, and which should have got done, like I said, even earlier. That said, look, when your first dismissal is a diving catch falling forward, it looks good. Your second catch is against Jadeja, always tough to keep. Wriddhiman Saha said in a very detailed interview some years ago, when asked who's the toughest bowler to keep, and he said, not Ashwin, Jadeja. Yes, that catch was on the rebound. There were some fumbles, but there's nothing to suggest that, like Chetan said, that he's not fit for the job. You don't get this far. You don't get into India's test squad for the WTC final, as well as for the first series against in a new cycle without doing things, right? And exactly, just to add on to what Chetan did, because you're very well aware of me, I was playing a match that night and I missed a session and a half. I came back and I wanted to know more about what Ishan Kishan had done. As you do, what Chetan mentioned, I hopped onto Twitter, and if I had not waited and watched replays and gone through in minute detail, I would have been led to believe that he dropped 15 catches, So it was just extremely harsh, what a lot of people were saying, and Chetan rightly brought it up. He did not do anything worse than what KS Bharat has done. KS Bharat started off very, very well. I'm not going to go into it because I've said it many, many times. But there's a reason he's not playing this test match, because his keeping sort of started to dip, and more than that, the runs weren't there. So look, if Ishan Kishan is far from being locked in, because KS Bharat is still around, if he drops 3 catches in the next match, for all we know, that cycle of rotation will start and it'll go back to KS Bharat. Again, it's just one match which got done in 3 days. He didn't do anything wrong with the gloves, as far as I'm concerned.
Valid point. Let's talk about Ajinkya Rahane and the pressure that he has to perform in this match, Chetan. The next match, that's the other thing. You want this transition process to be smooth, but you are playing all of 2 test matches. That you played one, you're playing one now, and then you have to wait till December when the team travels to South Africa for what will be a far tougher assignment than this West Indies series is. And so you wonder whether, whether this series and the results in this series would have any bearing on the selection for that South Africa tour, the test matches. Because what are you expecting? Say Ajinkya Rahane in this test match also is unable to score runs. I would think that there'd still be a conversation around, oh, we need to take Ajinkya Rahane because it's South Africa. We need experience in the middle order. Let's take him. So that's what I'm trying to say. Having said that, the pressure is going to be on him.
Absolutely, he'll be feeling the pressure because not only he has come back after a while and he's played just 2 test matches, but he's also the vice captain. The big thing that you've mentioned, that would he be dropped for the South Africa tour? Possibly. I mean, Indian cricket, whenever Rahane is vice captain, they take a lot of pleasure in dropping the vice captain. So why not? So they could do that. However, it would be a bit unfair, that they brought him back just for 3 test matches, and then after a stopgap of like 5-6 months, they'll just take him and say, okay, you know what, we'll not take you to South Africa. The problem is there is no first-class cricket before that, because obviously it's going to be a white ball first half of the season, domestic season as well. Ranji Trophy is only kicking off in January, so you can't really, figure out if he's in form really or not. So it's going to be a tough one. However, unless and until you're making wholesale changes and keeping the transition in mind, Ajinkya Rahane, irrespective of what he does in this test match, should go to South Africa. Talking about Rahane and this test match, I think he's the one batsman who would not want a spin-friendly wicket. Because every time there is turn and bounce and everything, there's one batsman who's going to struggle, and that is Ajinkya Rahane. Ever since his first test match, he's had that problem against spin. So it's something that has crippled him throughout his career. And, it's really something that he hasn't really gotten better at. It is something that has held him back, held his average back because it's not over 40 for somebody who's played so many test matches. And which is why I have a very left field suggestion. Like, you were discussing the team selection with Jamie. I was hoping you would put that question to me as well. I want India to play only 4 bowlers in this test match. I want them to drop a bowler and pick additional batsmen. Pick Ruturaj Gaikwad, tell him to go bat in the middle order, and let him get a test match under his belt. Let him score some runs. And then, come South Africa, we'll see what happens with the team selection. And when I say pick 4 bowlers, I want them to drop both Siraj and Unadkat as well. Let NAvdeep Saini and Mukesh Kumar play.
Interesting. I would think it makes sense. I would also think that, this whole talk around giving everybody an opportunity, transition process being smooth, youngsters being tried out, this actually sounds very good. And I don't see West Indies really posing a big threat to India, Jamie, even with this team that Chetan's just mentioned. That's an interesting one.
Exactly. So look, that's the whole thing. And this is why the word left field was used, right? This is an apt situation to make these left field calls, because it's a rare day when you've gone overseas. Yes, India were expected to win this series, but it's rare that the team was so abject in one match and you believe them to be as equally abject again, right? Yes, rotation, WTC, new cycle, transition, reset, all that is fine. But like Chetan said, this actually does present you, and it's just one test match, right? You need to keep in mind the future. Gaikwad, I believe, is the future. I think he's 25. He will have a role to play. Gill is the future. So bolster the batting. Whether it happens, again, I don't think it will, but you definitely do not need as many fast bowling options as you did. And if Chetan is saying that Siraj goes out and Shardul stays, Shardul in these conditions will score runs. You can expect 35, 40 at the very least if West Indies manage to trouble India that much. Otherwise, back the batsmen you have. I fully expect Shubman Gill, because he really failed on that track. More than Rahane, he's going to be like, you know what, I apparently went and, by say apparently, we've been led to believe that he went to Dove and said, कि मैं 3 पे खेलूंगा. If that's true, that guy needs runs, I won't spend much time talking about Rahane. I think Chetan aptly summed it up and I'm on the same page. Gill needs to score runs. If he has the hunger, will he score less than 170? I don't think so. So there's enough batting, Try it. Definitely pick Axar then. And if Chetan's, if we're going by that logic, Shardul makes perfect sense. You said drop Siraj and drop Unadkat.
Yeah. We think just have
I would drop
Shardul and just
Kohli.
get.
I agree. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
But see, that's the thing. You guys have no say in this. And it's highly
हम लोग
unlikely.
यहाँ बैठे हैं ना।
It's highly unlikely that will happen. But that's a good one. I would think giving Ruturaj Gaikwad an opportunity. I would think yeah, I'm with you on that one. Okay, now there's another big milestone that Virat Kohli will achieve with this test being his 500th international game. Only 3 Indians and 9 players overall. They made it to this absolutely elite club. The names will tell you how exclusive this club is. The head of this club is the great Sachin Tendulkar, who's played 664 international games. I don't see anyone getting closer. At number 2 is Mahela Jayawardene. Then there is Kumara Sangakkara, Ricky Ponting. He is there in that list. Captain Cool, MS Dhoni. He is also in that list. There is Shahid Afridi, Jacques Kallis. There is Rahul Dravid. He's on that list. He completes that elite club. And now Virat Kohli, who's on 499, will be playing his 500th international. He will be part of this club. And I think, when you talk about greatness, you always connect it with longevity. And this tells you how great a player Virat Kohli has been, Jamie. There are no two ways about it. We can talk about how, he may not be scoring runs as much as up to the expectations, really, of the standards that he's set for himself and what the world expects of him. But there is no denying that this man is right up there as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, look, you have two guests on the show with very, very strong views regarding Virat Kohli. So you're going to get an answer which will be straight from, I'd say, a bit of the heart and a lot of the mind. Virat Kohli for this generation, it's very tough to give an answer in a short span of time. 500 matches in itself, the very, very small elite club which have already played as many, it shows what Virat Kohli has been able to achieve. And we're talking about a Virat Kohli, which Chetan will never hesitate to remind you, is averaging around 29 for the last 4 years.
Yes.
So despite that, the average is still very healthy. Of course, it should have been a lot better. Chetan will also very quickly remind you of a certain tweet that I put out in January 2019, and I'm sure it won't be the last time that he'll ever say that. But we're still talking about a guy who's had a massive imprint as captain. There was a time where he was laying claims to be the greatest one-day chaser. There were times when he was doing fantastic things in T20s. Chetan and I have been at these matches, especially 2016, that World Cup, where match after match, he played innings with just literally, it's a cliche, but your jaw was falling down at your knees, sitting in the press box saying, yaar, ye phir se isne run mare, right?
Yeah.
Despite that blip we're talking about the last 3.5, 4 years, he's still around. But I will also add here, Meha, and something that we've discussed on this very show, we're looking at a very, very strange, creepy world where if the slump continues or the slump returns, I don't think he's in a slump now, he might not get anywhere near the level of test runs, Meha, that many, countless people thought he would be. So hats off to getting to 500. But there's a lot of hard work that Virat Kohli still needs to do to remain in that elite group.
So he's I think 10th on that list. But I was also looking at most runs in international cricket, right? Just trying to go through who were the others. And in that, he is in the 6th position. And that's going to come up on our screens. Take a look at that. 6th position. And the thing that stands out for me here, Chetan, is his average among all the others. And that's why I'm talking about this. Now, yes, expectations were many. Yes, people said that maybe he'll surpass Sachin Tendulkar. Maybe he won't now. 10,000 runs, almost 10,000 runs is what is between him and Sachin Tendulkar. But having said that, with that average, I think we've got to pause for a moment because he's playing this 500th test international and talk about, because I think we've only been talking about how he struggled in recent times. So I just want to take a moment and talk about what he's been doing. and what he's done already. I don't see anybody else. Active cricketers, who's the next player in that list? And number 17 in most runs is Joe Root.
So,
Do you see anyone else coming close? I mean, that's where I'm saying that sets him apart from everybody else.
I think, first of all, I don't like to compare eras. I mean, I would never want to compare him with Sachin or Jack Callis or Sangakkara or anybody in that particular list. Because, first of all, the kind of pitches that they played on, the kind of bowling attacks they faced, it was completely different. I mean, somebody like Sachin faced, 4 different eras of bowling attacks, and, his average was still always somewhere hovering around 50. So that's remarkable in itself, given the longevity of Sachin Tendulkar. But again, it doesn't mean that what Virat Kohli has achieved is not great in itself. If I have to classify Virat Kohli, then in his era, he's been the best batsman across formats, all 3 formats. And probably also he's been the best ODI batsman in his era. Probably not the best test batsman, definitely not the best test batsman,
Correct.
and probably not the best T20 batsman in his era. But across 3 formats, I would say that he's been the best batter given the consistency of results. I also believe that, he's had it a little easier in terms of, because his best period clashed with a batsman's era where batting rules were made to benefit batsmen, especially in ODI cricket. The pitches were easing out, 2 new balls from both ends, so you get hard balls to hit throughout the 50 overs. So, again, I'm not belittling his contribution or his achievement. I'm just saying that he's exceeded expectations in every way, and he is the best one of, in those categories, he's the best batsman of his era. Why I made this point was because during this last phase of his career, it's going to be the toughest phase, because now it's becoming more of a bowler's era, whether it's test cricket, whether it's T20s or ODIs, because batting is becoming quicker and quicker. Bowlers, whether they are home or overseas, they're taking a lot more wickets. At home, India is playing on raging turners. Overseas, he's going to struggle against the moving ball. So it's not going to be the easiest third phase of his career. And I think that's the problem there, because we, like Jamie said, if, he's only going to get 2 innings in this series, then there's South Africa, then there is England. Is he going to get close to 10,000 runs? An ex-cricketer last week before the first test already said that he's no longer part of the top 4 club, which is a very scathing statement. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine where Virat Kohli will end up once he calls his day. But to my mind, there's no doubt that during his playing days,
but that's
during
what
his
I was
best days,
seeing.
he's been the best.
I agree with what you're saying, but what I'm looking at all 3 formats, and that's why I'm saying that the only active cricketer right now, other than, Virat Kohli is right up there at number 6. You're talking about how he's not in that Fab 4. Well, Joe Root is in the 17th position. So if you just take out test matches, or if you just don't say, oh, it's just test cricket, because then we'll start talking about Steve Smith, we'll talk about Kane Williamson. But I'm saying overall, I also think that we've got to talk about the impact that he's had, in terms of people following him, people following this Indian team when it comes to test cricket, what he's done in terms of increasing popularity of test cricket. I mean, you were talking about baseball and all. I shudder to think what would happen to this team when Virat Kohli is not playing, Jamie. Are those fans, and I know that, we don't like this whole Viratians and all the clubs. We don't like how they come hard on people if they criticize any of these players. But I'm saying he has had a huge impact. He has been the most impactful player for this country since Sachin Tendulkar.
It can be argued, yes. A lot of MS Dhoni fans will say, hang on. But again, there's no need to discuss MS Dhoni right now. Virat Kohli, we've all watched enough. We've sat in enough press boxes to see the impact he had. One of the most revealing stats is after Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri, that combination started to put more of a premium on picking 5 bowlers to win matches, home and away. The stats of India's pace bowlers under Virat Kohli, the average and strike rate are significantly lower than what Ricky Ponting's, those unbeatable teams achieve, So for me, that one stat really says, he's not a fast bowler, Virat Kohli, but he backed bowlers. He's blessed, of course, we discussed this. He's blessed to have had that rare assembly line of fast bowlers coming through a time when India A cycle was very, very vibrant.
Yes.
Bharat Arun was working. Whatever it is, he has to get some credit for picking these. It's very easy to go after him when he doesn't pick the right bowlers, like Chetan and I have both discussed when it comes to the RCB setup. But his role in saying, what, I'll take some harsh calls. I may leave out certain players. I need to give my team the best chance to win. Is it a coincidence that India's first Test series win in Australia came under Virat Kohli? Absolutely not. So just again, it's a cliche, but his role in sort of jazzing up Test cricket, making fans come to watch it with his theatrics, with his aggression. Right now, looking at Rohit Sharma stumbling his way through Test cricket as a leader, it actually makes me yearn for the days of Virat Kohli going over the top, because it worked. It worked more than it failed. So absolutely huge impact as a leader.
I also feel there's this winner's attitude, winner's temperament, which sort of rubbed off on the team. How he just made sure, as a captain as well, leading from the front, being the fittest in the side. Some might say that, maybe, or some might be overwhelmed by that, because that was also another story, right? Chetan, we all heard this, where, some of the players felt like he was being overbearing with his approach. It's either his way or the highway kind of an approach. But having said that, he does have a winner's mentality, which helped this team win much more than it did in other eras.
Absolutely, and I'll take up the fitness point first, because I think this Indian team was the fittest under Virat Kohli, and that has to be his lasting legacy. And I'll tell you a very interesting story. I was in New Zealand covering, I think, the 2019 tour, and I was talking to an Indian guy. He had picked me up in Uber, and obviously part-time he was doing that. So he just picked me up and we were having conversation about cricket. And obviously he was a Virat Kohli fan. And I asked him, what do you like about Virat Kohli the most? And he told me the fact that he's so fit and the fact that he inspires him to go to the gym every day and be fit himself. So I think this is the lasting legacy of Virat Kohli's fitness attitude. I think he's changed the attitude of not only the cricketers around him, the Indian team around him, which was the fittest Indian team ever, but also everybody who's been watching. This current society that we are living in, where everybody wants to be fit all the time, everybody wants to work out all the time, this is because of Virat Kohli. All of our age or the younger age who always want to be fit, this is Virat Kohli's legacy. And then you talk about his on-field legacy. It's, again, like Jamie said, having those 4 paces, he had nothing to do with that. It was just the development curve that gave him 4, 5, 6 good pacers. But he had the balls to unleash them, to drop Ashwin. We may not agree with that.
Go for a win, always go for a win.
Drop Ashwin, to drop Jadeja, I mean, I remember the Perth Test match and he just picked up 4 fast bowlers and he's like, this is the best chance of picking up 20 wickets. And then obviously, he came up with a bat as well. He scored a brilliant 100 in that game. India lost that match. But again, he came up good with the bat. He picked those 4 fast bowlers to pick those 20 Australian wickets. So we may not agree with his decisions. In his first 34, 35 test matches, he picked 34, 35 different playing 11s. We may have criticized his captaincy. We may not agree with his decisions. But he always picked a side to go for victory. And I think that is commendable. Whether he got the results or not, that's debatable. And because it's Indian cricket, we love to debate. But he went for victory. That I think defined Virat Kohli as leader and as captain.
I hope that this 500th test match and this milestone, he ends up scoring 100. He hasn't scored an overseas 100 since 2018. But let's now move on and give you the details of the most important match of the Asia Cup 2023, India versus Pakistan. This highly anticipated encounter that will take place on the 2nd of September in Kandy in Sri Lanka. According to a report in ESPN Cricinfo, there have been a few changes to the first draft of this Asia Cup 2023 schedule, and now the tournament opener will be played in Multan between Pakistan and Nepal. In the first plan, Pakistan were meant to host all 4 matches in one city, which was Lahore. Now Multan's been added as the other venue. after the new PCB administration came in under Zaka Ashraf. They took over this month and they changed that. If both Pakistan and India qualify for the Super Force, then they will play again on 10th of September in Kandy. So I think Indian fans, all they want to know about when are the India matches, and more specifically, when is India playing Pakistan? And I think it's the same across the border. But I feel, Jamie and Chetan, is that PCB lives on an island of its own. ACC announces the Asia Cup, not the schedule, but the dates of the Asia Cup and the venue and how they've accepted the hybrid model. PCB is still unhappy. PCB chairman Zaka Ashraf goes and meets Jesha, BCCI secretary, ACC president in South Africa at that ICC conference. They smile, they click pictures. Later on, reports come, PCB is still unhappy. So I don't know what can make PCB happy, because if they are thinking that India-Pakistan will be shifted out of Ahmedabad to a neutral venue, they are living in cuckoo land. Jamie, that's not happening. And I think there's an announcement today. I wonder what that announcement is. They're going to make the announcement, the schedule, ICC, the Asia Cup 2023 schedule, venue announcement that's meant to happen at 7:15 today. But this is ridiculous. Why can't they just be clear about whether they're traveling to India or not? Because ultimately they will. We all know it, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's so much at play. There's optics, there's politics, there's history, there's ego. I think is the biggest thing. And we've seen, I think we've done shows based on what Javed Miandar has said and what Najam Sethi has said and Zaka Ashraf has said. It underlines the fact that we all know what kind of a situation not just the PCB is in, but Pakistan as a nation is in. इतनी बड़ी दिक्कत है तो यार World Cup खेलने मत आ जाओ, So again, I mean, look. I've said it before, there'd be no bigger statement. And we've seen Shadab Khan talk about it. We've seen Babar talk about it. No bigger incentive to show up, go to Ahmedabad. You're going to get top-notch security. You're going to get VVIP treatment. You're going to get great khatirdari. Prove that you're actually the number 2 one-day team as you're ranked. Beat India in Ahmedabad and then talk, right? There's no point talking now what's happened. No matter what you crave, what you say, you've got the best case deal, okay? Your hybrid model was approved, you're playing, you've lost some matches, cricket's going on. Ravi Shastri will say cricket's the winner here. Let it be the winner, but just see that one match. Forget where you go beyond that one match. Win that match, and then hopefully you won't have reason to complain anymore.
And also, I don't think so many changes can be made now, Chetan. We are already way behind when it comes to the schedule, be it Asia Cup, be it the World Cup. We've already heard reports of how, hotel prices have been jacked up in Ahmedabad. You're not going to be able to get tickets. We know how crazy it will get. What are they waiting for? And to think that everywhere else, World Cup dates, schedules are all decided 18 months in advance.
Well, obviously the BCCI was slacking in that bit, but once they brought out the first preliminary draft of the scheduling, the PCB started playing its games since then. They had issues with Chennai and Bangalore. They wanted to play Australia in Bangalore, and they didn't want to play Afghanistan in Chennai, and so on and so forth. That was unprecedented. That was unbelievable, because the host nation has the prerogative to schedule the tournament as they like, and I've never heard a country request to change matches, just because it doesn't suit them. The conditions doesn't suit them against that particular opposition. So what Pakistan Cricket Board is trying to do is create problems for the BCCI. What they don't understand is that the BCCI can retaliate when the 2025 Champions Trophy will happen. The BCCI is keeping quiet because obviously it's a decision by the government, and there's a 2024 election waiting to happen. But if the government doesn't change, India is not going to go to Pakistan, and the 2025 Champions Trophy is going to shift out of Pakistan. And I've said this on another show, and I'll say this here again. So if anybody is sympathizing with Pakistan, the 2023 ODI World Cup can happen without Pakistan. The 2025 Champions Trophy cannot happen without India. This is something they need to understand. Yeah. And, if they want to go on and, continue to dramatize it. I mean, you look at the schedule. They're going to play Nepal then travel to Sri Lanka, play India, then go back and play another match.
Yeah.
Because A1 versus B2 of the Super Fours is also in Multan or something.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to do? It's a circus at the moment. India is just trying to accommodate them for the World Cup.
Yeah.
But this is going to come back and bite them hard.
I agree. I think India has handled it so much better. And you know, and there was no high-handedness on their part. I think they've really handled this well. We don't get to say this very often about the BCCI. We don't praise the BCCI very often, but in this particular on this issue, they've definitely handled it much better than PCB. Okay, thank you so much, Janie Alter and Chetan Narula. Always a pleasure to have you guys on the show. That's it from us. News 9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर। इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी नहीं खा सकते बाहर बैठ के।
Life around the landfill is a curse.
हमारे घर में जो बड़े हैं उन्हें अस्थमा के वो पेशेंट है, आए दिन उनको नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है।
डॉक्टर ने मुझे ये चीज बोला कि यहाँ का एरिया छोड़ के कहीं और चाहिए।
Delhi's garbage mountains are now a fetid symbol of the national capital's trash problem. The question is, who is to be blamed? Watch Delhi's Garbage Mountains. Streaming on News 9 Plus for the Genflix.
The world is falling prey to nasty malware and paying hefty ransom in return.
Ransomware and digital extortion
could impact our future in ways that we cannot yet foresee.
If we end up in a war, a real shooting war with a major power, it's going to be as a consequence of a cyber breach.
We have seen